Hello, I'm Aloysius. I'm the owner of Haunted Harbor Tours. I own a ghost tour company in the city of Annapolis. I take crowds of people around the city of Annapolis and I tell them ghost stories. I did the same in Savannah, Georgia. And I also suffer from crippling social anxiety disorder that used to be so bad it ruined relationships. I had trouble making friends, and it affected my career, which is telling ghost stories. Tonight, I am not doing what I normally do on this YouTube channel. Instead, I am going to talk about how I overcame social anxiety and am able to give ghost tours without any hangups at all. This specifically is for anybody who wants to star in a play but is terrified of performing in front of hundreds of people in an audience, or has to give a classroom speech in front of thousands of people, or your entire class, right? For anybody who feels just the tingling, fleshy sensation of anxiety. That's what it comes out as for me. It feels like a tingle, an itch, a discomfort in my goosebumps, and I feel it running all the way up and down my spine when it's really bad. Social anxiety, I believe, affects, this is not an exact number, but I believe when I checked it years ago, 60% of the population. So it's not uncommon to have social anxiety. The problem is when it gets so bad that it holds you back from everything. When I first started ghost tours down in Savannah, Georgia, working at a haunted mansion called the Sorrel Weed House, the social anxiety was every night. Anytime I had to go in front of these people, it was kind of a grin and bear it kind of situation. And my mind would race so bad. But what I've come to learn through meditating during my anxiety attacks, my panic attacks, I've come to understand that it's a rooted fear in the back of my brain, social anxiety. And it's actually the same kind of fear that caused people to accuse others of witchcraft. Here in the city of Annapolis, I tell stories of the evil eye, an accusation people used to levy against witches, that they sent them a dirty look, a sour gaze, passing karmic harm through their eyes to a person, a witch's curse, through just a dirty look. And people used to go to court for that. And witches were given pretty severe consequences. Death for the evil eye. The accusers may have been socially anxious. And that's the way it was for me. For years, the voices in my mind, I'm not saying like schizophrenic voices, I'm talking about negative, self-sabotaging, cruel voices of my own dialogue that's saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, everybody knows I'm awful, and all of these things would compound to the point where it was almost like I'm reading the micro body language of a person. Often on ghost tours, we have family members who invite other family members. And sometimes on a large crowd, there's a guy who really doesn't want to do a tour, but loves his family more than anything in the world. And so he comes along. It really is a sign of love that you would do something that you just don't want to do, like to be with your family. That really is pretty awesome when a family member comes forward and does that. And these days, I'm able to detach myself from that. But when I was giving tours early on, even so much as an eye roll was enough to really cripple me. Other nights, it would be a thought, just a toxic, piercing thought, like the idea that my oven is left on. And it would snowball, get bigger and bigger and bigger, and oftentimes it's a social relationship. I'm stuck, or I used to get stuck, thinking about a moment in the earlier in the day or in the week in which I feel I didn't act as best as I could, or that somebody might be mad at me, all these things, right? So social anxiety is the fear that somebody hates you. That's what it comes down to. The fear of the evil eye is the fear that somebody is out to get you, that they're going to pass a curse through their eyes, and that's the fear that somebody doesn't like you. And that's what I have come to understand most anxiety is about. Plus, it might be about an oven that's left on. What did I do to overcome it? I reached a point in my life where I ended up seeking out meditation, probably having a lot to do with the ghost tours and the pub crawls and all this stuff, and encountering shadows. So many terrible things happen when you're in a haunted mansion late at night telling ghost stories. Definitely something that gets you a little more attuned with the spiritual. And I know what you may be thinking, oh, he's talking about meditation. Well, that won't work for me. Well, look, don't knock it until you've tried it. Because trust me, I know that thought. I would never have done meditation unless I had to. I'm telling you, it's the best thing I've ever experienced to begin to curb the social anxiety. So what I do, actually, before I got into breathing exercises, the most important thing that I did was I got comfortable in silence. It's not easy, is it? Sitting here, hearing nothing. You just wait for the silence to end. We, as a social anxious person, have a loud mind. I have a loud mind. And I used music, YouTube videos, and all of these different things to quiet the racing mind, because my mind at the time was so full of self-loathing and fear. To not have it silenced was affecting me on a deep level. And so I needed outside things to be able to just kind of shut it up. I then began to practice breathing exercises, right? And from there, I expanded to focusing on taking all of the tingles and all of the discomfort in the spine, the tension in the spine, and the racing thoughts, and all of the stuff that was going on in my head. And every time I breathed out, I just breathed that out into the universe so it wasn't mine to deal with anymore. And I breathed in positivity, calmness, and centeredness. I do this, mind you, anytime I'm off my game. Always take time to meditate before my tours. Generally, in the summertime, you will see me before a tour. If you come 20 minutes early, you will see me down by the Annapolis Harbor, sitting there with a book in my lap so I don't look like a weird fucking dude, and I will be meditating. I look like I'm reading, but I assure you I am not. I am sitting there in silence, checking on what is going on in here. Is my mind racing? Am I focused on anything? And if not, I know I can give a tour. If my mind is racing, I will do the necessary things to be able to calm that before my tour begins. And with that understanding that it's my fears, all of my fears. When I'm driving across the country, right? Sometimes I want to go and go take a ghost tour in another city and see what other tour guides are up to. I'll get in my car, I'll drive, and suddenly I'm thinking about that damn oven again. And I can meditate and I can relax, turn off the radio, and just sit there and remember back to the time that morning when I was cooking my eggs, and remember the process that I went through turning off the oven. And once I remember the fact that I turned off the oven, it's gone. Now there's the other side of social anxiety disorder. For me, when I'm in a crowded room with people I don't know, or people that I'm getting to know, but it's loud, it's noisy, I might have multiple things engaging my senses, lots of lights, lots of people talking, loud music I can't hear, and all of these things combining, it can spike my anxiety super bad. In fact, tonight I was at a quarantine party. We were all wearing masks, we were all fairly social distance, and my anxiety was just spiking because the conversation was just so loud, and there were so many conversations, and there was nothing at the root of it this time. Like typically, when early on during my meditations, I came to understand the racing thoughts are always pointing to the fear trigger. My brain always goes back to what I'm afraid of. It will often be a social problem, right? Did I offend this person in my statements? Did I do that? There wasn't any in this. It was just the fact that there was so much overstimulation. And so with that, there was, my mind immediately after coming out of the meditation went right back into the anxiety. And so one of the cool things I can do at a party when I'm not being paid is I just said, all right, well, I'm going to go for now. Like, I had a great time with you guys. Thank you so much for having me. My anxiety's peaking a little bit, and I discovered Netflix has Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3. I'm going to go watch that. When I'm on a ghost tour and I have overstimulation, a loud truck is passing by, a fire engine is running to wherever the fire is, or we got some drunk guys who are loudly conversing and screaming as they're walking down the street, which is not uncommon, I can just say, hey guys, we're just going to allow this noise to pass, and then we'll get right back to the story. I'll usually do so with a joke, like, oh, these guys are demanding attention, let's give it to them until they're gone. Or, oh, that truck doesn't have a muffler, and they just really want you to know how tiny their dick is. Let's admire their tiny dick until they pass. Stuff like that really, it lowers the tension, and it removes the expectation that I must continue talking. And with this, it's not going to be overnight, but take the play today. If you're thinking about signing up for a play and you've been afraid of your social anxiety, the best thing you can do for yourself is to sign up, take the play, go to the rehearsals, and begin practicing the meditation as you're doing it. I would not be overcoming my social anxiety if it wasn't for the ghost tours. I was forcing myself every single night to break out of my comfort zone, right? My comfort zone is chilling. I want to read books. I want to watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. This is not a paid sponsorship, by the way. I just like Evil Dead. You know what I mean? My comfort zone is alone. I'm finding a lot of comfort even in YouTube because I got so many great subscribers. I got a lot of cool people commenting. And yeah, this isn't a ghost story. I've been holding myself up this week. I've been doing a whole lot of tarot drawings that I'm going to be doing live, or different colorings, and I might even do some of the colorings live of the tarot. So I'm gonna be having the High Priestess coming out. I'm gonna be doing the Hierophant, and I've got some really cool sci-fi designs that have a lot of spiritual meaning behind them. So definitely check back, subscribe if you haven't already, and oh look, here's a video, and here's another video. They're both good videos. You could watch them. And thank you. I really, truly hope that if you have social anxiety, that this helped in some capacity. You guys have a wonderful night.